First of all, like you mentioned, it's good to give a shout out to the matchmakers at Top Rank. Not only are they really good at making these kinds of good matchups stylistically, but they're really good at rebuilding people's careers, getting them on the
Yep.
main event. They've done a really good job with Joet Gonzalez. I've seen the promotion, I've seen the marketing, the artwork. They've done a really good job with him and giving him another opportunity on a really big stage, which is ESPN Plus. So they've done a good job with him, and then Isaac Dogboe as well. I mean, he was a champion at 122 pounds when he upset Jesse Magdaleno. Now he's at 126, and he's been in really interesting fights. Now with this one with Joet.
All right. Welcome back to the RBR Recap, episode 26. I am Alex Burgos, joined as always by my man Gabe Rivas in this dead of summer heat wave. You know, for me, Gabe, it's been nothing but swimming pools, carne asadas, and micheladas this weekend. So I don't know about you, man. I hope you're staying cool. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. It's getting really hot. I've been running in the morning or in the night when it's not that hot. The only thing about when it's too hot is that I get lazy. I don't know, man. It sucks all the energy out of me when it's too hot. But yeah, I live in the valley in California and can get up to 105, 110 on really hot days.
Yeah. So you're doing that road work. You're putting in the work.
I got a treadmill, bro, and I do that shit in an air conditioned room.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a Peloton, and it's been a blessing, even though their stock is going down and everyone's trying to head back to gyms and working out outside. I prefer kind of like the solidarity of just me in my room and my bike. I don't like being
Oh
around
yeah.
and going to the gym and
No,
whatnot.
same here. Yeah, I like being alone. And I have a little like an enclosed patio. It's not air
Hmm.
conditioned, but or well air conditioned. But I get some fresh air, open the windows, and it can get pretty
Nice.
hot. It can get pretty hot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we've had 95, 96-degree weather this whole week. And you mentioned, it getting so hot and you getting lazy. That's the premise of my favorite movie, Do the Right Thing. When the temperature reaches a certain, Fahrenheit, more crime happens and people start getting kind of crazy. That movie features the debut of one of my favorite, Rosie Perez. They call her the one of the first ladies of boxing. She's a big boxing fan, but yeah, that's one of my favorite movies. And I always thought that premise is interesting because yeah, you start to feel people change and your own, your own ganas of doing stuff too.
There was a sociology professor that I had that said that a lot of the babies were conceived in the winter because in the summer nobody wants to sleep in the same bed. They get agitated. Get away from me. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Quick triggered and yeah, your mood changes for sure. And moving into the boxing scene, it's kind of cooled off. The last couple of weeks have not been super hot. Obviously, we had Ryan Garcia last week, but not much going on within the next few weeks and whatnot because we've had a lot of these. I guess we've been spoiled where it's like 2 and 3 cards on the same day. So yesterday we did have a little bit of action via Top Rank on ESPN. We had the return of Isaac Dogboe. He took on Joet Gonzalez. I thought this was a very good matchup. Kudos to the matchmakers over at Top Rank too. They always put these kind of like, I think like Jose Pedraza is another guy that gets into these like really good middle of the road fights where you figure if one guy wins, he's going to kind of be bumped up. And, to the point of this fight, it was a title opportunity on the line, basically, with the WBO international title, but the winner being the number one contender to fight for that belt. And, true to form, it was a very close fight, a tight fight. A lot of different things that we'll be looking at and talking at the end of the day. Dogboe eked out a split decision, 10-round victory over Gonzalez. 96-94 was the score for the three judges. And that's 96-94, obviously, once for Gonzalez and twice for Dogboe. So want to get your perspective, your ideas, and your thoughts on not only how the fight played out for both men, but maybe some of the things that Joet Gonzalez could have done with such a height advantage, reach advantage, these types of things that he didn't seem to use. He was comfortable trying to be in the pocket, bringing the fight to Dogboe. And a lot of these rounds are really close. It was like you didn't know what was really going on. Even the punch stats after the fight, it was 6-4 in favor of Gonzalez regarding, round by round punch stats. But, again, he only outlanded him by 7, was outlanded, I think, in the first half of the fight. So it's like just a tale of a bunch of different styles of fights and maybe some things he could have done a little bit different to really exert his dominance in terms of size and physicality. But what were your thoughts on the fight?
First of all, like you mentioned, it's good to give a shout out to the matchmakers at Top Rank. Not only are they really good at making these kinds of good matchups stylistically, but they're really good at rebuilding people's careers, getting them on the main event. They've done a really good job with Joet Gonzalez. I've seen the promotion, I've seen the marketing, the artwork. They've done a really good job with him and giving him another opportunity on a really big stage, which is ESPN Plus. So they've done a good job with him, and then Isaac Dogboe as well. I mean, he was a champion at 122 pounds when he upset Jesse Magdaleno. Now he's at 126, and he's been in really interesting fights. Now with this one with Joet. Now, in terms of what happened last night in the fight, I think that Joet could have implemented a better game plan. He has a height advantage of 2 inches because he's 5'6", whereas Isaac Dogboe is 5'4". He has a 70-inch reach, so he has a 6 reach advantage over Dogboe, who's only about 64 inches in reach. So I think he could have used a little bit more of a strategic game plan in this fight. I think his corner should have told him, look, take a few rounds where you're just using the jab, just throwing the 1-2, or make it easy for yourself, and then go into those exchanges that you want. But Joet is the kind of fighter that likes to fight on the inside and, fight at close range. But I think when you have a shorter fighter, you got to adjust that. You got to be able to make adjustments and change the game plan depending on the opponent you have in front of you. So it, like you said, it was a close fight. You can argue it either way. I really like Joet Gonzalez as a fighter. I think he's very fundamentally sound. But I think what would have made the difference is 2 or 3 rounds where he's just throwing the jab and the 1-2 and just scoring points.
Yeah, I agree. And he got a late start. I think most of the commentating team was saying they thought, you give Dogboe those first 3 rounds. And I mean, in a 10-round fight, you're already in a hole there. I think officially 2 of the 3 judges gave Dogboe the first 3 rounds. 10th round, again, ended up being the difference, but was super close. I think Dogboe outlanded Gonzalez maybe by just 3 punches. And it was one of those ebb and flow rounds where it was like the beginning, you think Dogboe, middle, Gonzalez, and then the end, Dogboe finishes off strong. But again, one of those ones that you could have given either guy. I thought, optics and what you were watching and how you feel. Like Max Kellerman always used to say this, and I love it. It's like when you're in one of these close fights or you're getting towards the end, it's like, which guy would you rather be? And from the optics, from looking at it, it looked like Dogboe was slowing down a little bit, and Gonzalez was bringing the pressure. He was bringing the pressure. He was never bothered, never visibly shaken by any one punch, whereas he visibly hurt Dogboe once, if not twice. And that type of stuff, starts to slow guys down, the body work and stuff like that. But both guys were throwing really big punches, putting it all on the line, fighting in a phone booth style. But, Joet, like you said, with the jab, I mean, there were things that you think looking back, in hindsight is obviously 2020, but you look back and you're like, man, if he could have maybe in those first 3 rounds just established the jab, work that simple distance. Yeah, keep it simple. Exactly. And, we talk about this all the time on the show. It's like the high level guys are the ones that are, even if in those first rounds you're giving up a few, you're downloading the data and learning what you have to do to give yourself for yourself to be the best version of yourself to get that victory. And so, like, what are the things that are going to work for me? What do I have to do to adapt? So if my game plan A is not working, where maybe normally I know I just got to come in and straightforward and bring the pressure. Now in this fight, I know plan B, plan C might work. And that's also, what did you work on in camp? Did you guys prepare for, this isn't Rete, who's a taller guy. Maybe you're more comfortable. And they mentioned that he's more comfortable fighting taller guys. And he said, a guy like Dogboe may be more difficult. You kind of saw that going back. He didn't really have maybe other ideas to break that. So, I honestly, though, I would love to see it again. It was a fun fight. I know this one was for the title opportunity, and Dogboe is probably like, I want my shot now, because he's had some, good fights now back to back, really close ones. He fought Pitufo Diaz, another one that was really close. I thought Pitufo won that fight, but Dogboe eked that one out. And so he's kind of getting these close, decisions and whatnot. And I think going in, the consensus was that he's a little more shop worn than Joet Gonzalez. Obviously they both lost tough fights to Navarrete. But I thought Joet had his moments in that fight. And so going in, you thought, what else can Dogboe do? But he kind of looked, there was a little bit of a resurgence for him in this fight too. And he looked a little bit better than he has as of late.
And even before the fight, he was very confident, very relaxed, and he knows that he can be a dog in the ring. I remember the pre-fight press conference, the final press conference, he said that he was training with Barry Hunter and that he should be spending his time learning how to box. But then the Isaac Dogboe, the real Isaac Dogboe, would come out sometimes to let out some steam and, be the kind of brawler that he likes to be. It's interesting that he's learning to develop his skills, but he also knows what kind of fighter that he is deep down inside, that he likes to brawl. And again, this just to repeat the point, if Joet knows he's that kind of fighter, I think he should implement game plan B, game plan C. That's what's going to separate good fighters from great fighters.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it seems like an automatic match and something that fits well, headbangers with Isaac Dogboe. But it's funny because, headbangers are known for being the tough in the pocket, phone booth style fights. We've seen in the past, Lamont Peterson, these guys, Anthony Peterson, they have skills, but then, when you hit them, they're going to dig in and they're going to hit you back. And they love that phone booth fight. Isaac Dogboe has that naturally, but it's funny because he's developed more intelligence and like the ability to box. And Barry Hunter was telling him that last night. So, they're kind of redefining themselves as well. I mean, they've been in the game forever and they're high level guys. Also work with a friend of the show, Franchon Cruz-Azern, first super middleweight undisputed female champion. Shout out to her. So, that gym is, known for working with high level fighters and athletes and whatnot. And so Dogboe has really been able to use a lot of his best tools and really redefine himself in a way where even he said last night in the post-fight interview, like, I know sometimes my inner, warrior wants to get the best of me and I just want to dig in and start fighting, but I know I have other abilities and other tools in my bag. So that's what they're really cultivating and trying to get him to use.
And that's what Joet needs to do as well.
Yep.
He is a brawler, but he needs to maybe add someone in his corner, add a different perspective, so that he can start, implementing a different style and start using some of those natural abilities, like last night, his reach and height advantage.
Yeah, because he was close. And I mean, his sister, who's a, top Olympian, Joet Gonzalez, she was on Instagram right after, like, she's saying, make it make sense. How do you outland someone and you lose? Obviously we got to look at things round by round, but even if you do look at it round by round, he won in terms of punch stats per round, 6 rounds to 4. So it was that type of fight. It was super close. So I don't want to act like Joet didn't do enough because, obviously for one judge, he did 96-94. And I think for a lot of people, it could have been 96-94 Joet or, even a draw, but you figure there were other things that he could have done to make it possibly easier for him to get a clear-cut decision or a clear-cut victory.
Thank you for listening to the RBR Recap. Make sure to follow us on social media at RBR Recap and visit RBRRecap.com for the latest episodes.